Good morning, good morning. I will give it just 10 seconds and we should be starting. It's really great to see everybody this morning. Thank you for joining us. I'll give it one more minute.
Hi, Janet.
Yes, I see the message. It says it's kept everybody at 100. So I've let George know.
I'll pop out if you wouldn't mind just letting Jeff in.
Okay, thank you. I am going to start. So good morning, everyone. My name is Janet Madume, Executive Director for Welland Heritage Council and also Employment Solution. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. The event is being recorded. So if you do not wish to have to be on the video, please turn off your camera. Lastly, we have, right now it says 100, but I had over 190 people registered. So we're just having a little bit of technical difficulty and George is sorting that out for us quickly. But this morning, I encourage you to meet and connect with everybody, network, create new friendship this morning. Or if you have any comments or if you have questions, please post them in the chat. Thank you. So welcome to our 2021 first virtual Black History event. It is such an honor to be joined by all of you, including Niagara Regional Chair Jim Bradley, Niagara Center MP Vance Badaway, Niagara Center MPP Jeff Birch, Mayor of Welland, Mayor Frank Campion. I will now ask MP Badaway, MPP Jeff Birch, and Mayor Campion to say a few words in that order.
Well, thank you, Janet. It is once again a pleasure to be here, albeit in a different manner. This year, the challenges that we're facing, these are the ways we're celebrating different events and of course, celebrating the many priorities that we have as a community. 25 years ago, the Government of Canada officially declared February as Black History Month, thanks to the efforts of former Liberal Minister, the Honorable Jean Augustine, who was also the first Black woman member of Parliament and first Black woman cabinet minister within our great nation. While this is an important milestone to note, it should also be understood that Black people helped shape communities from coast to coast to coast for over 400 years, well before this country was even called Canada. Black History Month is about honoring the enormous contributions that Black people have made and continue to make in all sectors of our society. It is about celebrating resilience, innovation, and determination to work towards a more inclusive and diverse Canada, a Canada in which everyone has every opportunity to flourish. This year's theme, the future is now. It's a chance for all of us to celebrate and acknowledge the transformative work that Black Canadians and their communities, including Black youth, Black frontline healthcare and essential workers, and many, many others are doing here in this great nation. It is a chance to acknowledge that they are building a better future for everyone, with everyone, by making a difference in all areas, including academia, the arts, health, sciences, sport, business, and on the front lines in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Canada officially recognized the UN International Decade for People of African Descent in 2018. The government of Canada introduced a new $10 banknote featuring Viola Desmond, a successful Black businesswoman who was jailed, convicted, and fined for defiantly refusing to leave a whites-only area of a movie theater in 1946. In the process, becoming an inspiration for that generation and many generations, including ours, and many more well into the future, for the pursuit of racial equality across Canada. Black History Month reminds all of us that we stand on the shoulders of giants and that we owe it to them and ourselves to continue their efforts to combat systemic racism and keep working to build true and lasting equity that is informed by Black history, Black voices, and Black lived experiences. Thank you, and to all of you, I thank you for being here today and celebrating with our community this very, very important month.
I don't know if, thank you so much in advance, by the way. I don't know if we have Jeff Birch. We'll move on to Mayor Campion, please. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thanks, Janet. And can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I just got a pop up here. Yeah, so thanks for doing this again. It's so important that the work that you folks do over there at the Heritage Committee and Council, it's really important to continue to celebrate Black History Month and the work that goes on behind the scenes. So I see that you didn't let COVID-19 shut you down this year, and I appreciate you utilizing the technology that's available. So certainly congratulations to you for having so many people joining us via Zoom. So the 2021 theme for Black History Month is "The Future is Now," an opportunity for all of us to celebrate and acknowledge the hard work that the Black Canadians and their communities are doing right now and continue to do into the future, and certainly what they have done in the past. It's also a time for all of us to recognize and celebrate the heritage, traditions, and culture of Black Canadians, and to honor the contributions that Black Canadians make in our community and the vibrant role that they play. It's so important that we recognize this and embrace it. It's becomes a part of our lives here. So I'm really happy to be able to celebrate this. Black History Month is about celebrating resilience, innovation, perseverance, to work toward a more inclusive and diverse society. This is something that we need to work on an ongoing basis. It's something we can't forget. It's something that we as Canadians in particular embrace and do so well. Hoping that everybody can enjoy the festivities that honor the legacy of Black Canadians past and present. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." Those words are so meaningful. If we embrace those words and live by those words, we will all be better people, we'll be a better country, and certainly a better community. So again, I thank you very much for allowing me to say a few words and for inviting me to this event, and looking forward to getting a lunch next year, Janet. Thank you.
I certainly hope so myself, but thank you so much for those kind words. Thank you so much, MP Badaway and Mayor Campion. Unfortunately, we cannot get Jeff in. We're still facing some technical difficulty, letting most of our people in. It's kept us to 100. We did have our account open to as many as 500, but it's not allowing us to do so this morning. So my apologies to everybody. One might ask, why celebrate Black history? We celebrate to honor the many Black Canadians that have contributed to Canada's history and culture. Individuals who have fought for justice and equality. Today, you will have an opportunity to learn more about these individuals. Learn about the effects of racism and how to challenge negative stereotypes. To open the event is Kim Madume, a fourth-year undergrad student at Waterloo University, majoring in psychology, sexuality, marriage, and families, and minoring in music. And yes, she is my daughter. Please sit back and enjoy the Power Hour. Take it away, Kim.
Hello, everyone. Wow, don't you just love my mom? She's awesome. Alrighty, so gonna get us started here tonight with a song. I wish it was an original, but it's not. It's actually written by a man named Antoine Bradford, but it goes something like this. There's a time for love, and there's a time for war. There's a time when it feels like you're losing it all. But every time your love, it breaks my fall. So how could I not give my all to you? 'Cause if loving you is putting me in danger, then I don't ever wanna be safe. 'Cause you have been the greatest gift to me, apart from amazing grace. And when heaven and earth collide and finally bring on the end of days, if loving you is putting me in danger, I don't ever wanna be safe. No, I don't ever wanna be safe. You see, the greatest battlefield is fighting for your heart, and I will never run away. And when arrows pierce my skin, my blood and sweat in the wind, your love will always be my prize. 'Cause if loving you is putting me in danger, then I don't ever wanna be safe. 'Cause you have been the greatest gift to me, apart from amazing grace. And when heaven and earth collide and finally bring on the end of days, if loving you is putting me in danger, I don't ever wanna be safe. No, I don't ever wanna be safe. No, I don't ever wanna be safe. 'Cause if loving you is putting me in danger, then I don't ever wanna be safe, no. 'Cause you have been the greatest gift to me, apart from amazing grace. And when heaven and earth collide and finally bring on the end of days, if loving you is putting me in danger, I don't ever wanna be safe. No, I don't ever wanna be safe. No, I don't ever wanna be safe. I don't ever wanna be safe. I don't ever wanna be safe. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim. That was absolutely beautiful. What a talent you are. Thank you. I couldn't help but sing along with you on mute, of course. Thank you for that. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. My name is Crystal DeCuna, and I'm the Chief Experience Officer at the Inside View, where we provide certification training for diversity inclusion, as well as customer experience. And today, it's my absolute honor and pleasure. Janet, thank you for inviting me. But I'd love to start our day off with the land acknowledgement in this new virtual world. So we'll begin our 2021 Black History Month celebration by acknowledging that although we're meeting virtually, the conversation being had today is conducted on Aboriginal land that has been inhabited by the Indigenous people from the beginning. As settlers, we're grateful and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, long before today. There have been Aboriginal peoples who have been the stewards of this land. The land on which we operate is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection. We also recognize the contributions of Métis, Inuits, and other Indigenous people that have made such a contribution to shaping and strengthening the community, the province, and our country as a whole. With that being said, we'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the Black Lives Matter movement and for people of color. We stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter movement to fight for freedom, liberation, and justice for all to be viewed as equal. We join Black Lives Matter in their call for radical sustainable solutions that affirm the well-being and prosperity of Black lives and the lives of people of color, to combat racism and cultivate unity amongst the world. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are honored to have you all. And with that being said, I'd love to be able to introduce our keynote speaker today. Christopher Stewart Taylor completed his PhD at Western University in History and Migration and Ethics Relations. He currently teaches at the University of Waterloo in the Department of History and Fine Arts program. He also worked in the Ontario Public Service and began his career as a policy coordinator intern in the Deputy Minister's Office at the Ministry of Labor. He was a diversity and inclusion coordinator in the Ministry of the Attorney General's Diversity and Inclusion and Accessibility Office, a senior policy advisor at Ontario's Anti-Racism Directorate, and the manager of the Social Justice and Change Cluster at the Ontario Correctional Services College. It is my absolute pleasure today to welcome Dr. Christopher Stewart Taylor. Dr. Taylor, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Crystal. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm actually a bit disappointed because I just found out that Kim goes to Waterloo and I've never met Kim. And it's not as if Kim is in her first year. Kim is nearly done and I've never met Kim. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, wow, this person with so much talent was hiding and it's hurting my soul. So Kim, I'm going to remember this for a very long time. Just playing. Good morning, folks. Thank you very much for being here this afternoon, but this morning. My time space continuum for most folks is all over the place. Again, I was reminded that I was here last year having this talk and we were in person, and that literally felt like 10 years ago. That so much has happened over the course of a year. So I got to say thank you, Jen, as always. Thank you, George, Crystal, everyone online, all the dignitaries. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. I know folks are Zoom fatigued. I know, this virtual life is tough on folks. And I was just hearing some people had been on already 2 Zoom meetings and it's only 9 o'clock this morning. So I got to say thank you very much. I know this is tough on a lot of folks. I know we're in a very tough space, but, Janet, again, when you reached out, I said, I'm definitely going to do it because I know how hard it is, to organize these types of events in person, let alone making sure you can coordinate something like this online. So again, Janet, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So the big thing today, I really want us to think about the words from Crystal, the words, the art of Kim, and the so what, the purpose of why we're here today and this month. The so what. Why are you here? And the question I want you to think about when I say, why are you here, is threefold. What are you willing to bring to this conversation, this event today? What are you willing to leave in this conversation event today? And what are you willing to take away? And the reason I ask that is because for a lot of folks, Black History Month is February, right? Sometimes it's 28 days, sometimes it's 29 days, but it's just February, right? January 31st rolls around, everybody goes scrambling. Okay, what are we going to do for Black History Month? And I want us to really shift our thinking and come back to a space where we personalize it. That is not something that we just do because we're supposed to. Because since we were in kindergarten, if you went to school in Ontario, in Canada, we celebrated Black History Month. For some folks, again, as we mentioned, this is relatively new. I'm not going to date how old I am. I tell my students I'm somewhere between 25 and 65. Guess. You can just pick a number. Black don't crack, so I tell people 25 to 65, you can guess. But for some folks, it's 25. It's 25 years is recognized, right? So for some folks, this is new. This isn't something that they grew up with. So it's conscious for them of what it meant. With the Honorable Gene Augustine pushing this forward, they understood the impact. And they understood not just that Gene Augustine pushed this forward, but they understood her story. They understood that Gene Augustine was a newcomer to this country. They understood that Gene Augustine came to this country through the domestic scheme, which began in 1955. And for those who don't know the history of the domestic scheme, we need to pull back some layers in Canadian history. We need to pull it back to us thinking about what it means to be Canada and Canadian in a settler colonial state. That's why I want to come back to Crystal's message there about the land acknowledgement. We need to understand what the purpose of that land acknowledgement, because we need to understand that we are in a settler colonial state, that this land for newcomers, myself, you, most folks, I would argue the vast majority of folks on this call, we've come from somewhere else. Maybe not our generation or our parents' generation, but maybe 5 generations in the past. So we need to situate that. And we need to situate that also in the framing of our immigration history, which ties into the piece with Gene Augustine. We need to tie and understand that post 1867, our Confederation, and really cemented in 1906 and 1910, our immigration acts of the time, we had an officially racist immigration policy. In particular, 1906, 1910, and then there's an order in council in 1911, where we could explicitly bar Black people from coming to this country because it is too cold. And I always find that comical. Then we have Black History Month all the time in February, and I bring this up to like, who wants to come here in February? Like, it's cold. It's like minus 30, right? But that was a part of it. And what they called in the Immigration Act, immigration policies, climate discrimination, that you could bar anyone from coming to this country if they came from the quote unquote tropics. Again, quote unquote tropics. So in the span between 1906, 1910 to 1955, there was a negative net migration of Black people to this country. Negatives. So the numbers dropped of Black people in this country during that period. And then you had folks like Gene Augustine and their governments in the Caribbean, Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad, Grenada, who understood this barrier. And they pushed for the domestic scheme in 1955. And the domestic scheme in 1955 began with 100 Black women from Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados. And these women were highly, highly educated. Highly educated. But they knew the only way that they could get to this country, was coming as domestics. And we might know that term now in the 2020s and beyond through the live-in caregiver program. Nannies, quote unquote. Servants, quote unquote. And that was their only way to get to this country. But these women were teachers, professionals, university grads. So they essentially de-skilled themselves to get here because they knew that was the only way. And for them to get here, they had to take on a 2-year contract and work in the homes of rich Canadians. And they did that. They suffered sexual abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse. But they did that because they knew, again, folks like Jean Augustine, they knew that that sacrifice for 2 years was going to allow them to bring their families here, to open the doors for others, and not just Black folks. And this is really important. It wasn't just for Black folks. Because of their efforts of these Black women, again, beginning in 1955, Canada officially deracialized, so took out the racism of the immigration policies and immigration acts in 1962. And the reason why I opened this, right, the reason why I opened with this story is because a lot of folks sit with this thinking is, so why, so what? Black History Month, what's the big deal? Why are we going to spend 28 or 29? We get lucky some years, we get an extra day. 20 or 29 days focusing on Black people. What about other groups? FYI, there's a lot of other different months on the calendar, and some folks do know that. So that's just another piece on there. But why so much talk on Black people? And I'm like, look, we got to take a targeted, and the term, the policy term is a targeted universalism approach. And if we sit back and truly understand the contributions of Black folk, again, I'm taking the example of the Honorable Jean Augustine, because she was the one, as was mentioned, she was the one that ushered in the recognition of Black History Month here 25 years ago. If we truly understand the contributions and the histories of Black people, and not in the sense of what happened to Black people were enslaved, Black people were oppressed, Black people were segregated, excluded, killed. But if we truly look at the contributions that Black people have made to the larger nation building of this country, settlement of this country, migration of this country, building of this country, we can understand the importance of Black History Month. We can understand that the push for these Black women in 1955 and the deracialization of Canadian immigration policy in 1962, which eventually led to the birth, for lack of a better term, of the point system in 1967, opened the doors for all people to migrate here. Black, white, or purple, doesn't matter. Yes, I know if this was a university classroom, I would kind of push on that because the point system, there's a lot of issues with the point system, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But I want us to really think about that, right? How Black folks have contributed to Canadian nation building. I want us to sit with that and start thinking, okay, maybe Black History Month isn't just Black history. It's our history. So folks don't feel so excluded from engaging in these conversations, because if your parents or grandparents or yourself migrated to this country from, let's say, Poland, Argentina, in 1975, and they went through the point system, they should know Jean Augustine. They should know the domestic scheme, because that helped contribute to them being here and contributing to this country. And I want us to sit with that. And another thing I want us to sit with, which is very important, is folks have been asking me a lot of questions about what makes this Black History Month 2021 different. And I'm like, what happened? There's something else going on in the world right now? Like, I don't know. I just thought we were all just living on Zoom. I didn't realize there's stuff happening outside. I just figured I got to wear a mask when I go outside. What's the big deal? Like, no, don't play around. Like, that stuff that happened in the summer, with the protests and, Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, And the reason why I give what you say a flippant response, just an off the cuff response, is that while we all acknowledge and understand what happened on May 25th, 2020. For folks who are like, May 25th, what happened May 25th? You might remember the summer of 2020. And May 25th was the exact date of the murder of George Floyd, which some argue was the catalyst for Black Lives Matter movements, not just in the States, Minneapolis, but Canada, worldwide. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just like, okay, cool. It brought to the forefront for a lot of folks that this anti-Black racism thing existed. It is real. You physically saw it. You watched for 8 minutes and 46 seconds a Black man die. You literally watched a human being, Black, white, or purple, on your phones, on your computer screens, in your homes, at the dinner table, cry for his mother to save him. Even me saying that gives me goosebumps months later. We watched that. And it was a rallying cry for change. And people say, oh, wow, I didn't realize this existed. I didn't realize anti-Black racism existed. And my argument to that is Black Lives Matter didn't start in the summer of 2020. The official BLM, even BLMTO, Black Lives Matter in Canada, this is part 2. It began in Ferguson, Missouri, 5-6 years ago. Well, 2020, 5-6 years ago. Officially. It was here in Toronto. I keep on saying Toronto like we're all in Toronto. It was here in Ontario. It was here in Ontario. The reason why we have the anti-racism directorate. We remember the Pride March. It was there. Black Lives Matter has been in this country, not just in 2020, but in 1920 with the Garveyites. It's been here in 1820 with the Black Loyalists in Nova Scotia. It's been here in 1720. It's been here since 1620, when in 1604, circa 1604, the first recorded Black person was in this country named Matthew DaCosta. So it's always been here. So we need to ask ourselves, so what changed? What changed that made this past summer, I should say, a moment that was our reckoning? I want us to sit with that and truly think about what happened, what made it so different. And do we still have that momentum that we saw in the summer of 2020? Is it here with us to stay? Or was it a fleeting moment that allowed us to go outside and be amongst people during a pandemic? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't want to be having the same conversation in 5 years. People asking me, what makes this Black History Month so unique? You remember what happened in the summer of 2024? And I'm like, well, I remember what happened in the summer 2020. What's the difference? And this is where I want you folks to sit with it. Right? I want you to sit with the understanding that what happens to Black folks and with Black history isn't something that happens over there. Jean Augustine, the Honorable Jean Augustine, isn't someone who just did things for Black people. She did it for everyone. And I want us to sit with that and think about it. How we can center Black history as our history. Thank you.
Dr. Taylor, thank you so much. It's my pleasure that I get to thank you. I fought very hard for this. No, I'm kidding. Janet, thank you for this opportunity to get to thank Dr. Taylor. Dr. Taylor, can't thank you enough on behalf of myself, our organization, for taking the time not only to be here with us today, but to enlighten us, to teach us, to allow us to think and to push for better change and change our perspective on things that we might not have opened up our minds to. I think it's great speakers like yourself that not only impact your life and teach, but like I said, they force you to think and move towards better change. And I thank you for doing that. It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce not only my colleague and friend, but someone who is wise and talented beyond his young years. He asked me to say that. He is a poet, a speaker, a musician, a settlement counselor, and many more great things. But today he is here with us to share a powerful piece of Dr. Martin Luther King's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, "I Have a Dream." So I'd like to welcome Mr. Kenny Gwena.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. I'm thankful for all that has been shared so far. So this speech was delivered 28 August 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This is not an attempt to sound exactly like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is an effort to rebroadcast, amplify, and celebrate the message that was central to his struggle for justice, equality, and human dignity. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. And some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair, I say to you today, my friends. And so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will be not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, Little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. And this is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we'll be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we'll be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from the Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. I thank you.
Wow, wow, that will never not be powerful, man. I got goosebumps. I don't know about y'all, but whew, thank you so much, Kenny, for that. Kenny also writes poetry for those of you that don't know him, so if that's something that interests you, I really recommend reaching out to him. But up next, speaking of poetry, we have one of my friends, Emily Radcliffe. She's performing an original poem titled Angry Black Girl. And honestly, I was trying to figure out a way to introduce Emily, but there's so much that I could say about her. She's one of my best friends, and honestly, to know her is to love her. Emily's in her 3A term at Waterloo, and she's currently working on Dr. Naila Khalida May's Black and Free Research Creation Project. Side note, we're starting a podcast together, so stay tuned. Anyways, Emily has a huge passion for the arts, poetry, music, theater, you name it. She also has a really big heart for people and a voice that you bet is going to impact the world. So please give it up for my girl, Emily.
Thank you, Kim. Do you think that I enjoy being an angry Black girl? Because I don't. I was such a happy kid. I would sing everywhere that I went, in the car, at church, at home, at school. I loved life. And then, like Ursula, someone tried to steal my voice and tell me that my life was worth loathing, that I was a threat to their comfort and I needed to turn down my joy. They were offended by the joy of a little Black girl. Why? What was so wrong with that picture that you craved to destroy it and burn all the evidence? Well, guess what? The fire you lit is still burning. And now you look at me sideways because I'm still fuming? You set my joyous innocence ablaze and then refuse to help me extinguish it with a simple, genuine apology and your repentance. But I'm the problem, right? Just another angry Black girl. With years of anger and mistreatment and injustice and systematic oppression, with no reprimands for the people who inflicted it, add fatigue. I am tired. So tired of this cycle. How am I supposed to dream big when I'm so focused on surviving? I am tired. But let me make something clear. I am not tired of being Black. No matter how many subliminal or explicit tactics you unleash to make me hate myself, I love myself. But don't be fooled. It took me a long time to understand that. You see, some of those tactics worked. Like the blonde-haired and blue-eyed Barbies, and the requests to straighten my curls, and the tall, white, and handsome boys in movies loving on the skinny, white, and beautiful girls. And don't think I forgot about those ads to whiten, brighten my skin. But once I saw past those white filters you set up, I saw beautiful people and cultures like mine, handsome men who see me and think I am divine, I am fine. Even God says I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I am confident in that. The golden flecks on my skin in the sunlight, the rich chocolate brown eyes you could get lost in, and a perfectly sculpted hourglass figure, the authentic kind you can't buy at a store. Now, don't try to separate my beauty from my ethnicity by saying things like, "You're so beautiful." For a Black girl, beauty is ingrained in my Blackness. Don't be so threatened by my rich complexion. Bask in its glory. I will no longer fall for your tactics and schemes. I know I am worthy. I know I am capable, and I do not need you to tell me. But there are still people like me who get stuck. No matter how capable and beautiful they know they are, they get caught in your police traps, setups, and recreational hunts. So when you finally decide to educate yourself before asking me stupid questions, you'll see that my hair not being straight enough and my skin not being bright enough is the least of my worries. So don't ask me why I'm so angry. We're fighting a spiritual battle you can't even see. So if you could, be a doll, would ya? Get over yourself, your insecurities, and your control issues, and step the hell out of the way. Because we will see Martin's dream come to pass, and you won't cause any more delay. With love, an angry Black girl.
Wow, wow, wow. Emily, wow. Black and beautiful. That was really powerful. Thank you so much. Oh, before we close, we have one important person. It's one of our first recipient of the scholarship that we started in 2018. Here's to Shaloni Charles. Shaloni, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shalini Charles, and I am a student at McMaster University. I am in my third year, and I just want to say that this award is so amazing. Personally, I've been touched by this award, being able to put it as a payment towards my first laptop. And you know how big technology is right now, especially with this COVID and everything going on, since everything is online. It's been a big, big help having this computer around, being able to reach out with my teachers and other students, as well as starting my own business. You need a big computer type thing to be able to start a business, right? So this was a very, very great thing that happened to me that was able to set me forward in my path of greatness that I believe that I can achieve. So yeah, this award did a lot for me and is going to continue to do things for me just because of that one stepping stone of being able to get that award. Yeah.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you. We are so very proud of you here at Welland Heritage Council. Keep doing what you're doing, and I promise you, you will continue to be that champion for all the young people out there. I would also want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Taylor one more time for such an inspiring message. You always empower me, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Who knows, I might call you back again next year. And I would also want to thank Kimberly Madume, Crystal Dikuna, Emily Redcliffe, George Mora, Kenny Nguena, a huge shout out. Thank you for making this event really a huge success. To all the delegates, our funders, the board of directors, thank you. To all of you participants, we wouldn't be able to do this without you. Community partners, we all appreciate you. For everyone who has donated towards the scholarship that Shalini was talking about, thank you for your generosity. It will change young people's lives, and we will forever be indebted to you. Those who wish to donate, the link is going to be posted by George on the chat. So you can just go in there and grab it. If you don't manage to do so, you can always email me. Last but not least, we would want to thank BIA. If you pass through the East Main Street Bridge at night, you will notice lights that represent Black history celebration colors during the month of February. So thank you so much, Alexis, for doing that. Again, thank you, everybody. I cannot thank you enough. Enjoy the rest of your day and hope to see you again next year. If you want to hang out, we've got some music playing in the background and we can all start saying hi to each other now. Thank you again. Bye for now.